This is where it all happened. The death of a dear friend. So this is where it happened. It all happened so quickly, and it's so sad how easily it can be taken away. Traveling down 20 miles per hour, the speed limit, and I got taken out right here by a Kia Soul. Now you can see this is an enter only with arrows facing the opposite direction. The car pulled up, didn't look right before turning left, and took me out right in the center. And that's all it takes. 20-mile-per-hour accident, somebody not paying attention and driving the wrong way can take everything away from you. Well, now we got to start a new journey. The hardest part, whenever you're a person who just likes everything about motorcycles and every brand of motorcycle, is deciding what you're going to wind up with. I mean, that decision process, whenever you can only have one, I spent days just thinking, what was I going to get? Long nights, many headaches, crying myself to sleep, and I started coming up with a plan. So a motorcycle for me has always been more than just a toy. I've always used it as a primary means of getting around and an outlet. So I had to define the mission that the motorcycle had to handle. For one, it had to be reliable. It had to be able to commute well. I had gotten to a point where I wanted luggage capacity, not just throw over bags, but you know, something solid, something that could handle. It had to be comfortable on long rides, and it had to be easy to get set up for short rides. So it couldn't weigh too much. I needed to be able to just pull it out, go, and throw it back in the shed. Thinking back whenever I originally started the channel, I knew I wanted an adventure bike of some means, whether it was a small dual sport, a full-blown adventure bike. I just didn't know what. So I started where everyone starts, looking at the DRZ 400s, the DRZ 650s, the KLR 650, even the KLX 250, and then started branching out into bikes that could handle daily commuting and luggage better. They weighed a little bit more, but all in all they were better for long distance trips. So the Africa Twin came to mind. And I'm 6 foot, you know, pushing 260, 270 pounds, depending on what time of the day it is. So I could handle a taller bike. And I remember looking at the Africa Twin and the BMWs. I remember the pedigree that the Tiger had whenever it came out. It was your sport bike made for the dirt. Wasn't the best bike to have for the streets, going through the twisties. It wasn't the best commuter, and it wasn't the best bike off-road, but it offered for what I needed the most. That's where we're at today. The Triumph Tiger 800 XCX. But really, there's no definite best bike out there for anything. You have to figure out what's going to suit your needs the best and go that route. I looked at everything everything from a Honda Grom all the way up to a Road King. That's a broad spectrum of what I was looking at. If I had the money, I would have pulled a flatbed up to every dealership and just started loading bikes up. But I had to figure out which one, just one, I was going to get. And the Tiger seemed to have the best package all around. And going on it for a used bike, I was able to get a Tiger that already had luggage set up, that was already ready to go off-road. Seen him stuck there. I didn't know if he was looking for something or if he was broke down. He says he's good, but I had plans of getting a KLR or a DRZ 400 whenever I started this channel, so that I could have off-road motorcycle videos, Jeep videos, and, you know, the cruiser chopper videos. But unfortunately, it wasn't cost effective for me to keep the Striker after the wreck. It had bent the frame, scratched up the exhaust system, broken off the foot controls. It was just so much damage to the bike. I couldn't fathom putting it back together. And I watched a ton of videos, ton of bike reviews. And the best thing you can do with bike review videos is look for the negatives on the bikes, because whenever people are paid to talk about a bike, they're always going to have something good to say. So you want to try to find the best honest reviews you can to find out all the negatives and the positives. The worst thing you can do is look for a bike based off of styling, because a lot of bikes, they might look cool in pictures, but they don't handle well. You get a sport bike that's stretched out, big rear tire, it is a beast on the road to try to handle. Same thing with choppers, with the front end that's like all the fucking way out there. Just stretched out front ends, massive rear tires, no suspension in the back. They are a beast to deal with, and they're not for new riders. So, good tips for people looking to just get into buying a motorcycle. You can't beat it. I mean, if you've thought about it, it's the right choice. Just throwing that out there. Better fuel economy, cheaper on insurance. And don't let people talk you into how dangerous it is. Crossing the street in a major city is just as dangerous as riding a motorcycle. So, throw that out the window. The more competent you are, the safer it is. Not confident, but competent. And it's hard. It's hard figuring out your first bike. You've got to clearly define what you want out of it. Number one, you're just starting out learning. So you want something that's small, relatively agile, and easy to pick up, because you're gonna drop it. On that same note, you want something that's cheap to fix. I mean, if you look at bikes and they've ran the same model for 20, 30 plus years, that's probably the one you want to go with as your starter bike. You look at your old EX250 Ninjas, EX500 Ninjas, the older Honda Rebels. Man, they're cheap. There's parts everywhere for them. They're easy to work on. So you have to clearly define what you're going to do with it. Now, after your first bike, your second one, it's going to be so much more enjoyable, because you're going to be able to open yourself up into more bikes because you're experienced with riding. The big things to remember, no matter if you're getting your first bike or if you're looking at getting another bike, know motorcycle is set up from the factory for you. So just going to a dealership and sitting on it, if the hand controls don't feel comfortable, if the foot controls don't feel comfortable, there's adjustments for it. And I'll make a whole other video on how to set up a motorcycle to fit you, but don't go off of the basic fitment for whether or not the motorcycle's right for you. Worry about where your foot is, not where the shifter is, and worry about where the seat is. Once you get that comfortable, handlebar adjustments, foot control adjustments, lever adjustments, throttle adjustments, everybody's got to do them on their bike. No motorcycle comes like absolutely ready for you. Now, a lot of them are pretty damn close. I've gotten on some bikes and they were just comfortable from the get-go. But like even on this one, standing up, riding around like I was doing, that's not comfortable yet. I've got to adjust it for me. So I ended up going with the Triumph Tiger. It fits all the needs that I have, and I think I'm really going to be happy with it. Thanks for watching. If you're new here and you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead in the comment section, tell me what bike you ended up going with and why you chose it. If you don't have a motorcycle and you're looking for one, let us know which one you're looking at and why you're looking at it. Well, that's it for this episode. See you on the next adventure.